What's up, guys? How's it going? It's me. And for today, I thought I'd go over what you would need to know for beginner tips for playing Legend of Mushrooms. To start off, if you're not aware, right, there are basically different classes, all right? Every class has a different path. And when you start out as a shroomy, you'll eventually become an adventurer and then have a decision to make. And you can either be a mage, an archer, or a warrior. And from there, then you can then play a mage for long enough and you can become a healer or a spellcaster and then go down that path, however you so choose. Now, the main thing you need to know is for the mage class, you're going to be doing mostly spell damage. You're good in early game, mostly for AoE mobs and stuff like that. Archers thrive on combos, and warriors thrive on really just a lot of core damage. All right, but in the case of a healer mage, like I am, okay, there are only really a couple of things that you have to pay attention to. That is to say, you want in your gear, you want skill crit, you want... Alright, so pretty much you just need to follow along, and this is going to pretty much show you how to get that 5% discount on your purchases in Legend of Mushrooms. This is all you pretty much need to do is just basically install Legend of Mushroom, and you have to have Aptoid's version of this, and then of course you need to have the AppCoin wallet as well. Again, these are both in the description down below, so you're more than welcome to take a look at these, come and download them. And then once you've actually downloaded them and installed them, then all you gotta do is basically open it up. And the AppCoin's wallet is basically a crypto app in a sense, but it's really all you're gonna do is just go to the rewards tab, go to the promo codes tab, put in the promo code that I've got down in the description, which is Dakanoth LM. And then you'll be able to get your 5% extra bonus on the game, so you can save money playing the game. It's done, and you want regeneration. Those are really the only things that you really ought to have, or things that you really ought to be looking for. Now, in terms of the set pieces, I've only really started to tweak this ever so slightly, but I have the Demon's Mask. I use the Thunder Color Kite because it's just kind of one of those things that you get with active skills, but to be honest with you, you could just as easily use you can use the Dragon Weave Circlet and buff your damage there. And honestly, this might be a better choice. I just happened to go with a Thunder Collar because I thought it was cool. And then you go with the Magic Box because you're going to be using cats. And then for the book here, in PvP, it's probably going to make more sense to get something like the Flame Book. And or it might make more sense to get the Stone Writ Tome, depending on what you're doing. I'm thinking towards probably the Stone Writ Tome, but again, to each their own. I'm going to get the boss level book for immunity just because. Again, I'm only just working on my character as I'm going along in every possible way. So I'm just giving you an idea of what you probably ought to do as opposed to what I did. That said, as far as the souls go, basically you just want to acquire souls that you can get access to. And again, you can get that through the soul prayer. And you basically just go through the soul prayer a bunch of times, but you get a lot of that stuff from doing the trials. The main thing is in terms of rotation and what you're going to do on a day-to-day basis is you basically end up going in here, doing the mine, going down as far as you can with the auto mining if you can get it for one way down, and scroll all the way down. You do your farming every day and basically acquire those. And then you do your prayer statues. For example, like basically, I'll just go ahead and unlock all of these for the minimum amount possible. And I know I'm getting rid of some of my SS, and that's fine. Because the idea here is we're just going to basically see if we can get combo. Skill damage is not necessary. Pal damage doesn't hurt, so we might as well keep that. And then we'll just kind of work our way through. Here, I'm just going to go ahead and basically wipe them out just because I can. Because really, if anything, you want to get your better fixes as you will level it up. Of course, Parking Wars just came out. If you don't know what Parking Wars is basically players can park their mounts in their own or other slots. Opting for this, and it's basically just park here. And you can set a parking fee. Because why not? Some extremely high parking fee. And unlimited. And then leave it, and then just forget. Yeah, it's probably bad advice, but I'm going to do it anyway. The dormitory, you just basically go find yourself a minion. You go find retainers, basically. So The way you find retainers is you just need to find somebody that is low enough level, that is weak enough that you can capture them. Obviously, you gotta look for people that are of a certain level. Like people below, like these Nurk and other guys like that, probably not gonna get. Your friends are usually your easiest targets because these are people that are usually playing with you or are within the realm of leveling around you. But you never know. Some people are higher, some are lower, and it's just kind of a trick to figure out who has what retainers where, as you can kind of see. Anyway, so then there's that all, right? But basically with the prayer statues, you want to acquire better affixes, and you see the percentage on the right it tells you what the possible amount for that stat is. Like if you're doing 47%, it's like you could conceivably go higher. But just like anything, if you ever tap here, it'll tell you what the quality of those affixes are in relation to the entire list if you didn't know. Outside of that, though, from the mine, the tech park is like the number 1 place for every starting player. You basically need to do your labor law, your mountain storage expansion. You always want to go right. At the moment you can go right, go right. Get your AFK rewards, your offlane earnings, all of that stuff first, and then do your PvP element to it, because obviously you're going to get a lot of stats. I always cultivate working on attack, then HP, but each their own. And you just basically acquire that from going around doing the mine every day, which is relatively straightforward. Again, if you're doing it the way I do it, you just pop what you can and go downwards as far as you can. Auto mine quits after you have a low enough amount of, just kind of crummy, right? But I mean, it is what it is. We'll just try to get as much as we can. I don't like to skimp out on the material if I can help it, but it's one of those things you got. The lower ranking you can get, the better, right? Outside of that, you'll get a lot of gear choices. So like here, crit and stun rate, I'll go ahead and take that over regen, just because skill rate or rather the crit rate is pretty important. You want to have a pretty high crit rate and you want to have a pretty high stun rate if you're going to be a healer mage. But in general, mages are usually going to want a very high skill crit rate. Outside of that, about the only thing you'll probably come to find is that you'll have the various different funds. Of course, I highly recommend getting the skip all ads fund, because that just makes your life a lot easier. You can get the mining license if you want to. And then the rest of it is really just doing your skill upgrades. Now, if you're wondering what skills to use and where, it's kind of dependent on what you have access to. Like now that I've got access to this guy, I'll go ahead and put that on. But, again, when you're starting out, you'll eventually get the shroom shield, and you'll want the shroom shield. But most of your early game is just going to be spent grinding to get to effectively where you get nature's renewal, the shroom shield, you get the coin bomb and the take it slow or the easy breezy. Slime bomb's even not a bad option. But eventually you'll want to acquire things like dazzled and disarmed and smoke bomb. Anything that adds stuns are going to be huge for you, because again, your ideal situation as a mage is you want to be doing a lot of long range, high damage, and in the case of a healer mage, you want to effectively increase the likelihood that you're going to live. And by doing that, you have to have a lot of shields, stuns, and things that increase your regeneration. And that's really about all there is to it. Outside of that, about the only other thing I would say is you'll do your dungeons every day, so make sure you're going through and basically doing as much of the dungeons as you can do. So here we'll go ahead and do our ancient city. Again, you just want to go ahead and do all these things on a day-to-day basis. This is just stuff that you're going to need to do. In terms of pals, I could probably show you pals since I did talk about the skills right before I just jump into there. These are the ones that I use. Again, the idea here is that you want to be able to get to the higher tier pals as quick as possible. And if you're wondering why these pals, I would get the wealthy lizard if you can get him. Of course, you probably will want dragons, because dragons increase your skilled crit damage. So basic crit damage goes up quite a bit. And then the hipster tortoise is probably not a bad choice. Of course, any of the hydra sprites are going to be helpful since that's skill energy regen. The cats are useful because that gives you active skill damage. A lot of that stuff is, it's like that's the primary reason why I focus on these. Of course, you can also get like the Alpine Fox, and that'll extend your stun. These are all things that you're ultimately, that's what you're aiming for in a mage. And more specifically, a lot of this advice is appealing to a healer mage. But again, these are kind of the things that I recommend you look at and really kind of stress on, because again, these are the things that are ultimately going to make you a better mage. If you want more advice tailored to like a warrior or barbarian or even various different classes, I'll probably work on making other videos, but I only can really give advice based on what I've been doing as a mage, and we can always decipher it from there. One thing I will say is you always want to do your magic lamp upgrades. You want to save lamps for once in a while, because again, the higher level your lamp is, the more loot that's going to be better quality, and therefore you're going to get more gold per lamp and more XP per lamp because of that. And so in a way, you kind of want to not make a habit of spending all your lamps right away. And this could also be said for like during an event. You don't want to pop all your, so you don't want to go to the shop and just start burning your tickets right away either. You want to save these, because basically you can go and do events. Like right now it's the relic rush, and then there'll also be a pal rush and a skill rush. You want to save for those, so there's no sense in getting ahead of yourself. Of course, every day you want to go in and log in and do your spends, because you're going to get free spends. And then you also want to go ahead and collect what you get from your friends and claim all of those, and probably claim anything that you get from maintenance, and then also get your 7-day login in every day. Outside of that, really, that's about everything that I can think of that comes to mind. Of course, they're clearly a bad choice, so I'm going to swap it. But yeah, I mean, that's really about all there is to it. As far as the shop is concerned, about the only thing in here that I recommend spending your gems on is gold. That's all you ever need to be using your gems for, by the way. Just use it on gold, because you're going to want to upgrade your lamp. Like, that to me makes more sense than anything. Now, like in this case, regeneration and skill crit versus stun and regeneration. The regeneration is about 1.8% lower, so I'm just sacrificing stun for skill crit, HP, and higher attack by a smidgen. I'll do it, why not? But the point being is, if you're going to choose between skill crit and stun, I would strongly recommend that you think in terms of what you already have in terms of stun already. In my case, I'm not doing that bad on stuns. Increasing my skill crit rate is not necessarily a bad thing, and that'll ultimately end up helping me do more damage in the long run anyway. Outside of that, though, that is really about all I have to suggest for a guide on the game for beginner players up to effectively now, if you're wanting to be a mage like me, up at a level 90. And again, if you have any questions regarding different events like Reverse Showdown even and others, you're more than welcome to ask me in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys next time.